In our Medical Edge today, a few weeks ago, we shared with you a story about a young woman who encouraged all of us to learn more about our own risks for colon cancer. Following that report, many of you sent our experts at TriHealth several things you wanted to know about that test. So today we asked the team at the TriHealth Digestive Institute to share some expert advice. It was Cherise Sherman that sparked these questions. She had a colonoscopy, or a test like this one, where doctors can see inside the colon, and discovered
I did have a polyp, but it was not the precancerous kind.
The first question had to do with, tell me about the prep. Has that gotten any better lately? Because that's usually what people don't want to do in advance of a colonoscopy. Second had to do with a DNA test, a newer test we think that might work for those at risk for colon cancer. And third had to do with a little bit of a mother-daughter struggle with age related to risk and whether or not you should have a colonoscopy. So for the prep question, you may need to ask about what is called split dosing.
I think that in general it is easier. It's less, you divide the prep into two portions, so it's less volume at once. The downside is that oftentimes you have to get up early in the morning to do that second dose, and so that can be harder.
As for the DNA test, it's this one called Cologuard to test a stool sample to detect cancer. Dr. Dreyer says it's definitely better than no test for colon cancer, but it's important to note.
If you're relying on Cologuard, you're more likely to have a higher risk polyp or even potentially a cancer by the time it shows up on that test. Colonoscopies are still the gold standard for early detection of colon polyps that can lead to colon cancer.
As for the age question, it is not clear-cut. Generally, however,
if you haven't had polyps and you're otherwise healthy, then we usually don't screen after age 75. If you have had polyps, it's a little more of a gray area, and you need to have a conversation with your doctor.
And as always, speaking of conversations, feel free to write us with any questions you have about this or anything else. Go to local12.com and click on Ask the Expert.